The Nickelodeon Slimecast Podcast is brought to you by the Reopen Nickelodeon Studios in Orlando, Florida Facebook page, and is produced by Patricia Miranda from oldschoollane.blogspot.com.
But here we go.
Welcome to this 5-minute decision of doing a Nickelodeon Slimecast Podcast episode. I'm Patricia, and I'm here with Edmund James.
Here.
Today, we're going to be discussing about the newest article that just came out recently, discussing about more information about the Hey Arnold TV movie. So, I'm just going to pop up this article from the AV Club. I'll leave a link down in the description below so you can check it out. Okay, so we already got a confirmation of what the movie is going to be called. It's going to be called, drum roll, Hey Arnold, the Jungle Movie. Isn't that serendipitous?
I think basically only the hardcore fans and animation buffs knew what it was already called, but for casual viewers, it's a surprise to them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, from what I understand, it could have been a possibility that this would have been a working title for the original theatrical movie, which we'll be discussing about in Nick's Missile 3 in a few weeks. Yes, it is confirmed right now that Hey Arnold, the TV movie that's going to be coming out, is going to be called The Jungle Movie. And we already know about some little bits of information about the voice actors that are going to be in this. So the voice actors that are going to be confirmed for Hey Arnold, the Jungle Movie, and we're going to be talking about the returning ones. We'll leave the new ones later on. Okay, so the original voice actors who are going to be returning for Hey Arnold, the Jungle Movie are Franny Smith, who was the original voice of Helga, Andy McAfee, who was the original voice of Phoebe, Justin Schenkero, who was the original voice of Harold, Olivia Hack, who was the original voice of Rhonda, Nika Futterman, who was the original voice of Olga. Let's see, Tress MacNeille, who was the original voice of Grandma, Arnold's grandmother.
Also known as Charlotte Pickles.
Yes, that is true. Also known as Charlotte Pickles, Mom from Futurama, Dot, Babs Bunny, a whole bunch of things, yeah. Dan Castellaneta, who is returning as Grandpa.
Oh!
Yes, and Homer Simpson. Yeah, Mr. Simmons, who was voiced by Dan Butler, whom a lot of people may know as Bulldog from Frasier.
I love Frasier.
Yeah, Frasier's a good show. Bob Pataki, who was voiced by Maurice LaMarche, whom a lot of people
Pinky and the Brain.
Yes, yes, he was the voice of the Brain, and a lot of the characters from Futurama, like Calculon, he was the voice of Morbo, Kip, a whole bunch of characters. More recently, he's been in a lot of Disney movies. He was the king from Frozen. He was Mr. Mole from Zootopia. So many. Let's see. Another person who's going to be coming back is going to be... this is actually really interesting. It's going to be, according to this article, and, you know, the AV Club is a legit website, so we're probably going to be having Danny Cooksey coming back as Stoop Kid.
Stoop Kid never leaves his stoop, but I think he's about to in the Jungle Movie.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe he'll just be there for, like, a quick line, but, yeah, he is going to be possibly in this movie. Oh, and we have Danielle Judovitz, who's coming back as Big Patty. And, of course, we're going to have some of the boarders coming back. One that's been 100% confirmed is going to be, Dom, is going to be Ernie Potts, voiced by Dom Irova, whom some of you might know for being a stand-up comedian. Oh, and of course, Eduardo is going to be in this movie. Of course, for those who hadn't seen, Parents' Day or The Journal, Eduardo was best friends with Miles and Stella, who were Arnold's parents, and was only seen via flashback. So that means he's actually going to be showcased in in this TV movie, which makes a lot of sense because maybe he'll have some information about where, Arnold's parents are. And Eduardo was voiced by Mr. Carlos Elizraqui, a.k.a.
Rocco.
Yeah, a.k.a. Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life. And Laszlo from Camp Laszlo.
And Ricochet's original voice from Mucha Lucha.
Yep, and also he was one of the major characters from Reno 911. If any of you younger audiences don't know about that, then viewer discretion.
And he also voices Mr. Crocker.
Yeah, and yes, of course, and Mr. Crocker from the Fairly Odd Parents. Good one. And then, of course, last but not least, we have Miles and Stella. And yeah, it's going to be interesting because it hasn't been confirmed about if they're actually alive in the Jungle movie or if this is just going to be shown via flashback like it was in Hey Arnold's, in which it was shown in the episodes, the Journal and Parents' Day, in which we actually do get to see little clips of, what Arnold's parents were going through right before Arnold was dropped off. So, yeah, and also, the two last characters that have been confirmed to be joining in the cast are Lane Torren and Jamil Smith, who were the original voices of Arnold and Gerald, respectively.
Plot twist is, they're not returning as Arnold and Gerald.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense, of course, because they're already past their 30s, and I don't think with the way that they're sounding, they can be able to pull off being 9. I mean, Lane and Jamil, they voiced Arnold and Gerald when they were little kids, so I don't know if at this point they can still pull it off, but I'm really glad that Craig is actually going to give them...
Having said that, Trey and Matt from South Park basically speed up their voices, or maybe it might be a little bit different.
Well, I mean, the thing of it is that at least with Trey and Matt, I can kind of understand for South Park because they've been voicing the characters for almost 20 years, and they were already adults at that point, so they can kind of still keep it. They weren't like, they've been voicing the characters of South Park when they were little kids, and then they had to keep on doing it until they were adults.
Oh, yeah. At least Craig Bartlett is actually generous enough to keep them on the project. He's not selfish, unlike some other creators. I'm not going to mention any names, though.
It kind of makes sense for Lane because even when he reached puberty and he was replaced by Philip Van Dyke in the season 2, Craig actually gave him the part of Wolfgang. So, according to here in the article, they will be voicing other characters. We don't know what the other characters will be, but they'll be voicing other characters. And the people who are going to be replacing Arnold and Gerald are Mason Vale Cotton and Benjamin Flores Jr., whom you may know who Benjamin Flores Jr. is if you guys watch Game Shakers.
Oh, no.
Yes, I know.
Sorry, Cal, I love your work. It's not your fault. I'm just not a fan of the show.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the show either, but I do know who Mason Vale Cotton is because he did play in a few episodes of Mad Men, and he was actually pretty good. I don't know how Benjamin Flores Jr.'s acting is outside of me watching Game Shakers, but he seems that maybe he'll do a good job. I'm not going to get too much into criticizing his performance until I actually see it. And then, of course, the other actors who will be performing as Eugene, Stinky, and Sid, we don't know who they are going to be just yet. Okay, so the next thing is that was revealed was that we find La Sombra, who was the villain of, who's going to be the villain of the Jungle movie, and was actually showcased in the episode The Journal, is going to be voiced by Alfred Molina, whom a lot of you people know as, he was the one who played as Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2.
Yep, Spider-Man 2. Oh, man, I remember those movies.
Alfred Molina has actually appeared as a voice actor in numerous occasions. He actually provided the voice of Lex Luthor in the Robot Chicken DC specials. He was also the voice of, I guess more people would probably know him recently as he was the devil in Rick and Morty. And he was also the voice of Multibear from Gravity Falls. What do you think? Do you think Alfred Molina would do a really good job playing as La Sombra?
I guess, considering that they're both, he is very good at playing menacing roles. I mean, I'm not a fan of the Spider-Man trilogy, but, his acting's pretty good.
Yeah, I would say so too. I think it's a really good casting choice because, just like you said, he does really good menacing roles, and I think that he'll be able to pull it off very well. From the storyboards that I read around the early to mid 2000s when they were leaked by the storyboard artist, it shows La Sombra is a very threatening villain in which he wants to find out more information about where La Corazon is. So, let's talk about predictions. What do you think? Now, I'm going to tell you about what I think that the movie's going to be about from the little bits of information we were able to receive. So, I think it's going to start off in the beginning, like, with Arnold coming by and the mailman saying, like, package for Arnold Shortman. And this was supposed to be the first instance that we were supposed to learn about his last name. And, he probably got some more information about, how to raise money so he can be able to buy a ticket to San Lorenzo so he can try to see if he can find his missing parents. And then, that's when the school competition happens in which, whoever wins gets to win a trip. And with Arnold winning, he and the entire class is actually going to go on the trip to San Lorenzo, and each and every single one of them are going to have various adventures. Stinky, Sid, and Eugene are going to go off and do a whole bunch of things. They're going to get themselves lost in the forest. And, Arnold's going to try to find out some more information about what happened to his parents, maybe some more information about the green-eyed people. We'll get to meet up with Eduardo, definitely, because, maybe Eduardo will be able to shed some more light about where his parents were last seen because, as you already know, his parents came back to San Lorenzo so they can cure a much more severe version of the sleeping sickness. And then along the way, we probably meet up with La Sombra. He's trying to find La Corazon. And La Corazon was a sacred stone that was that belonged to the green-eyed people, and as you remember from the journal, Miles and Stella stole it back and gave it to the green-eyed people, so he probably wants to find it again. As for anything else that's going to happen, I'm not sure, but I have a feeling that it could either lead one of two ways. I do think that Arnold's parents are alive, and I think they've been captured for so long because maybe they won't give away the information about where the green-eyed people are, or maybe where La Corazon is.
But one thing I do have to address. If Craig Bartlett is actually I think he'll continue in the series, and I think he said that he's had ideas for episodes, then if Arnold's reunited with his parents, that would mean ending it. And I actually read from a Google News group thread from somebody that apparently Nickelodeon executives don't want full endings to their Nicktoons in case they renew them for other seasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound too surprising. I mean, if what it is that you are saying is true, I mean, it may lead into a cliffhanger, but don't forget that this is supposed to be a 2-part movie. So, the fact that Chris Viscardi wants to have these revivals only as TV movies, and he wants to do it with the creator's permission and the creator's approval, then it could be a possibility that if the Jungle movie goes very successful, maybe we'll be able to see revived episodes of Hey Arnold. I mean, hopefully down the line, fingers crossed, it could lead up to the Patakis.
Hopefully.
We do know for sure that it is going to be coming out in 2017. It's going to be a 2-parter, and it's supposedly supposed to close off the entire story of Arnold trying to search for his parents. So, who knows what it'll lead up to, but we'll just see what happens. Now, in your predictions, what do you think the story's going to be about?
Oh, I think that it will probably be what it was actually about. Before it got cancelled, except that I do think that there has to be some tweaks to the story in order to reach a modern day audience, as well as reach the audience that grew up with it, that want to see it.
That is actually a really interesting question. I mean, Nickelodeon, not only do they want to connect towards the kids who didn't grow up with Hey Arnold, but they also want to connect to the kids who grew up with the show. Because, I mean, with the exception of showing reruns on the Splat, maybe the kids who have never seen Hey Arnold will be seeing the Jungle movie as their very first movie. So, what do you think is going to have to do to kind of generate toward the new audience?
Not much has changed except technology has gotten, updated and everything, and people rely more on the internet now than they did back in the 90s and early 2000s. But I guess the only change they're actually going to make is the designs, which, from what I've seen, aren't really that different to the original, except they're wearing different clothes.
Yeah, and not to mention that the colors are a little bit more standoutish as opposed to in the 90s version, in which it's a little bit more pastel cell shaded. So, yeah.
Yeah, but that's just a rough draft.
True, it is a rough draft, so we don't know if that's going to be what we don't know if that's what the TV movie's going to look like. You're right. So I think, in my opinion, a good way to get kids caught up with Hey Arnold right before the Jungle movie starts is I can think of one of three things. Number one, you have a massive Hey Arnold marathon. Kind of like similar to when there was a massive SpongeBob marathon to catch up with everybody so they can watch the movie.
Yeah, and kind of similar to when they used to play Rugrats reruns before the show was renewed after its hiatus.
Okay, number two. I mean, some people might think it's a little bit lazy, but I think it'll be very helpful. I think the movie should open up with a clip show. Maybe a 1 to 2 minute clip show recapping about everything that happened with Hey Arnold that is relevant to what's going to happen with the Jungle movie. Maybe Arnold is looking through the journal, or maybe Arnold is sitting by his bed, looking up in the ceiling by the clouds, thinking about hi, I'm Arnold. I'm just a regular 9-year-old kid, and these are my friends, and then you talk about his parents and stuff like that, and then you kind of do little clip shows of the old episodes from the show. That way, not only it will generate nostalgia for the older audience, but it'll actually give a understanding of what's going to happen with the movie for the new audience.
Yeah, I think that personally they need to regenerate, the new audience and basically, catch up. Christmas Gardy said he had no plans of showing reruns as they have a way of introducing kids to Arnold anyway. So I guess they're going to treat it in some respects like it's a brand new show.
Okay. And here's the third and final thing that I think they should do to kind of get the kids to understand about Hey Arnold right before the movie comes out. I think there should be at least either a half an hour or 1 hour segment with all the people who have worked on the show over the years, including the voice actors, to have an interview discussing about the years of Hey Arnold, about what was it like working over there, what was it like providing the voice of the characters, and, maybe then showing, maybe a little clip of what the Jungle movie is going to be before, it actually airs. Not only that, we'll be able to get some insight about what was it like, what was it like working on Hey Arnold? What was it like drawing the pictures of the show? What was it like writing the episodes? What was it like with the voice actors portraying as the characters? We can try to get almost every single voice actor who's not only going to be in this Jungle movie, but maybe even some of the people who are not going to be in the Jungle movie come in and discuss about how they feel about Hey Arnold, what it means to them. Hey Arnold's going to be celebrating its 20th anniversary in October, and I don't think there's a better time for this to come out.
I agree.
I mean, if anything, I do know for sure that Nickelodeon Animation Podcast is going to be having an interview with Craig Bartlett. So I think it's no better. And I know that Arun Meha has interviewed a good majority of the voice actors from Hey Arnold, as well as interviewed Craig Bartlett at least 5 to 6 times. So, I think Nickelodeon should take full advantage of this. I think the one thing that I want to conclude this with is that how do you think that this is going to react to the people? Let's be honest. Hey Arnold, the Jungle movie has been a massive, massive one for millions of kids for over a decade. And I think that there's going to be some people, I'm not going to say it's good. I'm not going to say it's you. I'm not going to say it's me. I'm not going to say it's anybody who's listening. But I have a really strong feeling that with this whole thing with this whole delay that we have been waiting for this movie for a long time, and all the people who have been posting up, save the Jungle movie, I have a really strong feeling that there's going to be at least 1 or 2 people out there who are very cynical. They're going to be massively disappointed about this movie because maybe it wasn't up to their expectations.
I think personally, there are at least a couple of people out there that are cynical about revivals, let's be honest. I've seen some people actually nitpick the Beavis and Butthead revival just because they didn't commentate on much music videos. But I'm like, They're riffing on Jersey Shore and 16 and Pregnant and Teen Mom, for crying out loud. I thought you'd be happy to see that.
Here's the thing, is that revivals and reboots are a very, very fickle thing. Even if you homage it the best way you can, even if you tweak it for a modern audience that is even better than the original, even if you get some of the original people who worked on it, there's going to be at least one or two people who are going to be out there and saying, you know what? I don't like the way that Arnold voices because Arnold doesn't sound like that, or Gerald doesn't sound like that. The animation doesn't look that way. I like the rough edges that the 90s show had. Or I don't think the story that, that Craig Bartlett wrote for this, for the TV movie, I think that the original theatrical movie was going to be a lot better. I wish that this would have been released in theaters. I was disappointed in the ending. I thought it was going to lead up to this because here's the thing. I remember back in the day when I found out that the movie was going to be canceled, there were a lot of people that I remember, they used to write fanfics about how they felt that the movie was going to end due to the little bits of information that Craig Bartlett did with various interviews. And, it's the thing is that this is going to be the definitive, conclusive answer. And let's be honest, there's going to be some people out there that are not going to be happy with it. Maybe you won't be happy with how the show looked, with how the movie looked. Maybe you won't be happy with the new voice actors. Maybe you won't be happy the way it's animated. Maybe you won't be happy about how it ends. Or maybe you'll just be upset that it even ended at all. Maybe you wanted it to continue. But I just want to give you a bit of clarity. We are lucky to even have this. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, even 30 years ago, if a show was canceled, that was it. It was done. All you had were just reruns and fond memories of what could have been. Nowadays, with the advent of the internet, nowadays with people constantly posting about that we want this show to come back, nowadays with more ways of watching shows with YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, on demand, there are so many ways in which all of these shows can come back. Samurai Jack came back. There could be a possibility of Young Justice coming back on Netflix if you buy the DVDs and watch Netflix repeatedly over and over again. There have been a lot of shows that came back. Sure, maybe not a lot of them have been good. I mean, I have been hearing so many complaints about the Powerpuff Girls reboot. But the point is that I'm trying to make is that, guess what? To everybody who has been wanting to see this movie for over a decade, we did it. We did it.
Back in 2009, I didn't think that this would be possible. It seemed like basically a pipe dream. I did wish and hope for it back in the early 2010s when I started getting back into 90s Nickelodeon. But I just felt like we needed a bigger push. So there was petitions, letters, phone calls, and after all those years, they finally agreed to bring back the show and tie up loose ends, which is what they should have done back in the early 2000s, and I'm glad that we're getting this.
Yes, I am too, and to be quite honest, I am just too thankful that this is happening for me to be incredibly nitpicky and greedy. I am so happy that this is coming out. As somebody who watched the show when it first came out, and knowing about, everything about the Jungle movie when it was first announced to when it was eventually canceled. I mean, I already told this story before, but I can say it again. When I was 17, and I wrote to Craig Bartlett saying, I'm hoping that the Jungle movie will come out. I will support you all the way. And then a few months later, I got a letter from him saying thank you, and I got some drawings from him. So I'm just as thankful that this movie's coming out. I mean, I never, just like you, James, I never thought in a million, billion years that this was going to happen. Even Craig Bartlett, around the time that, he left for Cartoon Network to do the pilot Party Wagon, and then eventually he worked on PBS. Even he himself thought that this was never going to happen because of fans like you, fans like me, fans like all of our listeners. We were able to make this work. And regardless of how this movie turns out, I am just glad that we're getting this.
The successes of previous revivals, such as Family Guy, Futurama, have also enabled this to be a possibility, because before those two shows were uncancelled, it was a rarity that a show would be uncancelled. I'm not saying that they were the first, but uncancellations have been common since then.
Yeah, and we're not talking about like a new incarnation of Hey Arnold. Like if you were to say like Scooby-Doo. Like Scooby-Doo Where Are You is completely different from Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated.
Exactly.
So anyway, that is it for the information that was available for now. If we do find out any more information about about the Jungle movie, we will talk about it at some point, but let us know in the comments below about how excited you are about the Jungle movie coming out. Or maybe you're not excited about it. Tell us why. And what do you think that the story is going to be about? And how do you feel about a good majority of the voice actors coming back to reprise their roles, or in Lane and Jamal's case, to voice as different characters? Alright, so that is it for this episode of the Nickelodeon Slimecast Podcast. I hope that you guys continue with listening to the rest of Nick's Missile. Hope to see you around soon. Take care.
When life gets you down, wearing a frown, don't look away, look up. 'Cause memories true come out of the blue. You know the way, look up. Come on, Arnold.
Grandma, I'm really not in the mood.
When skies are dark gray, things gone astray, don't hide away, look up. Take it.
I had a bad day, nothing went right. I hate my dumb life, I'm down.
When you're feeling under the weather and the dark clouds are getting to you, make your troubles light as a feather, and soon you'll be seeing a bright patch of blue. You gotta look up, you gotta be strong, you gotta take things as they come. 'Cause everything new that happens to you is better when you look up. Well, Arnold, what do you say?
One more time, Grandma.
Arnold, you're a pip.